Hey guys, so for this week's presentation, I decided to read a book that is about a disabled person's perspective about life. And the book I decided to read is called Stuck in Neutral by Truman. This book is about a 14-year-old boy named Sean McDaniel who has cerebral palsy, and it is written in his point of view. He shares with the reader the impact that he sees in his family members' lives from him being disabled. It is an interesting take on the subject because there is a big debate on his family whether he can actually understand them or not. He is not able to speak or even swallow without his reflex. Sean's dad is the one that this takes a toll on the most because he hates to see his son suffer so much with no relief. His father ends up leaving the family home and only comes back to visit his children occasionally. He still provides for the entire family, and he struggles throughout the book on what to do to help his son. He learns about a man who killed his 2-year-old son, who was disabled, in order to stop his child's suffering, and the idea gets stuck in his mind. He ends up planning on killing his son, which Sean understands that he is planning to kill him, but cannot voice his opinion on the matter. So the father decided to take his son's life in order to help him have a better life after this life, so in the afterlife. So Sean understands that his father's planning to kill him, but he can't voice his opinion because he can't speak. And the book just talks about the struggle that he has in knowing that his father's going to do it, but he can't say anything to anyone. So this book explores the question, do disabled persons in this condition have a voice, and how can we give them a voice? And also, do they understand what's going on? Do they have a perspective on their surroundings? So personally, when I began reading this book, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I had no idea what this book would turn into. It was such a sad book. I ended up picking this book because my roommate remembered reading it in school, and she remembered that it talked about a disabled person's perspective, and so I decided to read it just to learn a little bit more about cerebral palsy. And this book explores assisted suicide. So this is not a book I would recommend for children, obviously, but it does explore the idea of choices and what to do when someone can't make their own choice. It reminds me a little bit of the book Me Before You, about the guy who is quadriplegic and he decides to take his own life because says he has no quality of life. So obviously, like I said before, this is not for children like I thought it was in the beginning, but it could be read at the end of middle school or in high school, just looking at this issue that's in our society today and this big debate. I think that the book's beneficial and it gives a different point of view on this subject because it has the point of view of someone who can't speak for themselves. There are some unpleasant things in this book, obviously, and it's not graphic like you would think it would be. Anyway, but this book brings a new perspective on this issue, and I just thought it was interesting and that I could share it with you guys. I know that's not for younger children, but it is for our older children that they could learn from. And the author actually has a son who has cerebral palsy, which is what he bases this off of. And he based it off of a story that he had read. And obviously he isn't going to take his son's life, but it just explores the thought process that parents have during this time. So anyway, I just thought that was something interesting to share with you guys. Thanks for listening, and I hope you all have a great week.